What's up, fam? It's Lissa Scott. Welcome back to my channel where we talk all things personal branding and creative strategy for your online business. I am super stoked that you are here. Today's episode is going to be one where we are unpacking what is your design style. Oftentimes I'll work with a client on a brand and they're like, I don't even really know what I like. So today's video is designed to help you uncover what is your general design style. What tree are we barking up here? And we're gonna look at type style, color style, font style to give you an overall feel for the direction that your brand might be headed. What's really cool about this is that you can take this and implement it in other areas of your life. So it might influence your personal style, your workspace style, where you are working out of. There's a lot of things that this can translate into, but today's video is almost meant to be like a personality test. So I'm excited. Let's jump in. All right, I switched over to my laptop so that we can do some screen sharing and actually look around at different things that I would look at with a client if we were designing their brand. So the very first thing that I like to see is a color scheme of what types of colors does my client like? Does my client enjoy? So as you're watching this, ask yourself, which one of these feels like the most me, right? And if you're not sure, look around your house. Look at your closet. What colors do you wear? What colors do you naturally gravitate towards? Right now I have this mint color and this blue color and then some neutrals on today. So that could be a good start for me, right? If I were to design a brand. Now, the first type of color scheme, I'm going to show you a few different kinds, but the first color scheme that we're going to look at is what's called an earth tone color scheme. So we can scroll through these and generally get a feel for, do we like earth tones, right? Beautiful example right here. Here's some more. I've got these earthy neutrals, some of these more colorful, but still mellow colors, right? But earth tones, right? So earth tone color scheme, it's really nice to see. These are colors naturally occurring in nature. They're not bright, a little bit more muted, very natural feeling, very timeless. You don't typically look at earth tones and, a year from now think, wow, those are super out of style. They're not super trendy. They're kind of classic, always going to be colors that are relevant. And I would stay away from anything that looks this bright. I wouldn't call these earth tones. So getting a feel for, do you like earth tones, right? Here's a beautiful, beautiful example of what are some earth tones? Do you like this objectively? It doesn't mean that you like every color in here. It just means that generally you like earth tones, right? So that's the earth tones. The second thing that we can look at is bold color scheme, right? So do you like something a little bit more bold? This is a very different feeling. This is that friendly and vibrant, super colorful, which is awesome, but definitely a different feel when it comes to a brand. So I'm like, okay, client, do you like bright colors? This is another really fun one. A lot of times people think they like earth tones and then they see something like this and they're like, actually, I really like these brights. So that's super cool. So bright or bold. From there, I'll usually take them to a muted color scheme and see, how does this feel, right? It's like these pastels. Oops, these pastels. This is going to be overlapped a little bit with some of those earth tones, but it's a little bit more Easter, right? There's a little bit more color there. This one would be a muted rainbow, right? So it's not always pastel. It could just be muted, less bright, less neon. Again, this I would put in the bright category here. This I would put in the earth tones. Not all of these are perfect, but you can get a feel for, do we like muted colors? This is a perfect example of muted colors. Okay. After muted, I would take them into a monochromatic color scheme and see, do we like monochromatic? Monochromatic is when we take one color and we essentially change the opacity or the transparency of it to create a bunch of analogous purples or a bunch of analogous greens, etc. And this is really good if somebody has a favorite color. They're like, I just love mint blue, or I just love pink and purple, right? This is awesome. But it's definitely a commitment. You have to love that color. So, and it really becomes yours. Orange Theory is a business that did this, right? They've got this different shades of orange, but it is orange. Orange Theory all the way. So that's monochromatic. And then I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. Color pop, let's talk about that. So color pop is basically, we might take a few different tones, like let's just say a bunch of shades of gray, but then color pop it with one of these brights. And so let me see if I can actually see a better example. So gray and lime color scheme would be a perfect. Yes, something like this is what I would call color pop, right? It's chilling, and then there's that one color that really becomes the emphasis color. Same thing here. And so this sometimes works. It really depends. So let's reflect for a second. Did you like the earthy tones, the bright tones, the monochromatic tones, the color pop, the bold? What was your favorite? Just objectively, right? That's the first thing that I would be trying to uncover with a client. From there, we're going to look at type styles. So we'll start off with a sans serif font. This is going to be a modern font with no feet on it, okay? So when we look at these letters, they're just nice and squared off on the end, right? This is Helvetica. This is a font like Graycliff. Awesome, classic sans serif font. Sans means without, and I'm going to unofficially translate to without feet, okay? Now, if we look at a serif font is going to have these little feet on it. That's a perfect example. These little feet, right, on the corners, and they feel a lot more classic, a lot more old-timey or newspapery. Newspapers were one of the first places where we really saw serif fonts, right? Newspapers and typewriters, they have these little feet. Now, if your client is someone who has, or your brand, I should say, if your brand is someone with a lot of print materials, serif fonts are easy to read on paper, which is why when you open a book, it's usually in a serif font. If you are mostly on screen, a sans serif font is going to be better. So there's a fundamental difference between a serif and a sans serif. It has a very different vibe. So I might scroll through a few pages and just say, objectively, which one do you feel more drawn to? Something like this, serif, or something like this, sans serif, right? This Caldo piece. From there, we can build. Once we decide what is the client like, how thick do they like their letters, we can really go from there. So sans serif and serif. Then do we want maybe a script font in there? Script is going to be cursive, handwritten, that type of vibe. It's going to be used sparingly. We're not going to have paragraphs and paragraphs in this, super scripted font. There's just no way to read it. So getting a feel for that, and then even getting a feel for a slab font. Do you like a nice thick typewriter vibe here, right? Do we like this style? The slab fonts are basically inspired by when printmakers would print each letter with a square slab. And so this is a very distinct feel. This is a great example of slab fonts. Do you like them? Do you not like them? So I'll just take them through and see what they're drawn to, what type of fonts do they like. Let's say someone so far has really liked brights and sans serif. Well, I know they're going to have a very modern, current, young-looking brand because that's what's coming together so far. So just wanted to say that. From there, we'll figure out, do they like organic lines, logos? Whoops, let's see if this knows what I meant. Logos. Okay, organic lines that are natural feeling, lines that are not squared off, right? They're not super geometric. They almost have like a hand-drawn feel. Love this, okay? So here, let's unpack what we have going on. We've got a sans serif handwritten font with a organic, probably hand-drawn sun in the middle here. Love that. Love that. Shout out to Kinsey H Designs. Freaking awesome. More organic shapes. Notice these are shapes found in nature, right? They're curved. They're not perfect. They are typically hand-drawn. They're not going to have these sharp edges. So I'll get a feel for, does my client like organic lines? This is a perfect example of some organic lines. Then we'll look at geometric logos. So geometric line logo. And we'll start to feel, oh, this feels a little bit different, right? It feels a little bit more contained. Geometric lines can be curved or straight, but they're predictable lines. Here's a great geometric logo, right? Do we like this style? This style of work? Yes or no? It's really helpful. It also helps me to see thickness-wise, does my client like thin lines or bolder lines? Does my client like more hand-drawn lines, or does my client like, predictable lines? So these three have this sort of hand-drawn funky feel. This one feels very cut, dry, predictable, very geometric, right? So do we like geometric or do we like organic? Do we like badge style logo, which is contained in a shape, right? You guys have probably seen logos like this. They're contained in a shape. Or do we like implied shapes? There's actually no shape there, but your eye still makes a shape. It's implied. So let's take some more looks here. These are all badge style implied logos, right? There's no actual bounding shape on the outside. Beautiful, beautiful work. I'm not sure whose work this is, but shout out to them. And then we've got, of course, the actual badge logo right here where it's contained. So does my client like a contained or uncontained logo, regardless of if they like the badge? And let's say freestanding logo. These are going to be the logos without a shape, right? So let's look. It's going to be harder to find one of these, but this live oak right here, this is a perfect example of a freestanding logo, whereas these are all badged. They're all contained in either a square or an oval here. So just kind of continuing through, getting a feel for what they might like. Here's another great example of a badge logo. Also, this place is awesome. Milo in Waco, if you're ever there, go. Super, super cool. Love this. Love that this created a shape on its own and then that the shape was broken. Super, super cool. Here's a perfect example of a freestanding logo, right? We've got this shape that is not stuck inside of a bounding box. It doesn't even have an implied shape like this, right? Typically, these are going to be drawn logos like this, freestanding logo. Love that. And it's been really fun to just get a feel for what people like. So freestanding versus contained, badge versus implied badge. And then we'll kind of get into like, do you like a minimalist logo? Do you like a maximalist logo? Right, so minimalist logo is going to be super plain. None of these are particularly good examples of minimalist, so let's just see what else I can find. Minimalist logo. None of these, I wouldn't call any of these super minimalist. I like them all. My Pinterest knows me very well. Let's see. I would call all of these just normal logos. I wouldn't call them minimalist. So let's keep going. Simplistic logo. Let's try that. So simplistic logo, do they like something really clean and crisp like this? There's not anything crazy going on. This is a perfect example of what I would call a minimalist logo. Do they like that? Do they vibe with that? Do they like something way more artsy, right? Organic, hand-drawn, free-spirited. There's those earth tones again, right? Love that. Okay, and then I would go in for a more modern logo. Let's see about modern. Do they like something that is super modernized and current, or do they like something with more of a throwback feel? A lot of times when I search modern logo, I'll actually get old school, which is really funny. And you can see that I clearly love hand-drawn work, so my feed is full of that, but this is what I would call a modern logo. It's very modern, sans serif font, clean, crisp, etc. And so just getting a feel for do they like old-timey things or new? What's their vibe? Does it need to be really professional, or can it be a little bit more playful? Does it need to be super clean and crisp, or can it be something a little bit more free-spirited and implied? So we'll get a feel for that. And then the last thing that I really like to look at is just I'll go through and I'll say something like coach logo. So let's just say this logo was for a coach. We would go through and we would find, hey, is there a coach's logo that you actually like, right? Is there a coach's logo that you feel resonant with? And so here's one, Lynn Mole, transformational coach. Do you even like this? What is your industry doing? And do you want to disrupt the industry, or do you want to be, right on point with it? It's really up to you on what feels good. Leslie Wander Wellness. Love this. Okay, super cute. They may like that or not like that. So it's really nice to pull up some stuff that's happening within their niche and go from there. But that is essentially what would help me then develop the rest of a client's brand. So let's use the earthy sans serif example, and let's start to think about earthy brand, right? What does an earthy brand look like? I might start to go through this and pull something like this is awesome, right? For a mood board, start to pull some stuff from other earthy brands. Are we hitting the nail on the head here? Are we getting the color schemes right? And does this feel how they want it to feel? From there, if I were to go in and design their clothing, earthy girl aesthetic, right? I might start to look for some outfits. Okay, let's try this. Earthy girl outfits. And if I was going to style my client, I would scroll through here and see if anything jumps. Now, this is not feeling professional to me, right? So I might come in here and put granola girl outfits, just like try some different things. Okay, this is more what I had in mind when I said earthy girl, right? So granola girl, okay, cool. Maybe I can have my coach wear something like this for her retreat. We got a flowy white shirt, some small tank tops, some baggy pants. And let's scroll from that image and see if there's any other common trends. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of neutrals. We've got like brown shorts, khaki pants, burnt orange, teal, and green seem to really be prominent. There's those khaki shorts again, right? And so I'll begin to sort of make them a dress code based off of their mood board, based off of their aesthetic, all right? Let's try Tulum outfits, right? Tulum is typically a spot where I see a lot of neutrals, a lot of earthy girl swag. So coming through and actually asking myself, would my client wear, flared green pants? Would my client wear burnt orange with cream? Okay, getting the color palette right, making sure that their wardrobe actually matches their on-screen presence, which is super cool. Seeing a lot of white now, okay, a lot of tan. One thing I didn't do was a neutral color scheme. So let's talk about that, right? Let's go back. This is inspiring me. Do they want neutrals? Do they want earth tones? Like, ooh, this is kind of perfect, right? I like this called linen, sage, macchiato. This is very on brand. And so coming back and realizing like, oh, color pop, maybe it's these neutrals with a pop of color. Maybe it's not gray and lime. And really coming through back and forth, weaving the style together. So let's also come back in here and say that the client is a little bit more like clean girl outfits. Let's just see what that gets me versus earthy. Ooh, okay, now we've got denims and neutrals. So I might blend this denims and neutrals, like this outfit could blend pretty seamlessly into that earthy girl wardrobe, and it could be kind of two sides of the same thing. These pants, I actually have them, LOL, but they're a great example of a piece that's really versatile, right? It can get dressed up with like boots and a sweater, or it could be dressed down with like an oversized tee. So starting to do that. And then here's where it gets really cool. Because we know that we like the Tulum aesthetic, and because we know that we like the granola girl aesthetic, we might say Tulum office inspo, okay? Well, what does the Tulum office look like? Oh my gosh, this is like earthy girl heaven, right? So what are some of the trends here? We've got, I think these are called Montessera plants. Please forgive me if I'm saying that wrong. We've got this certain type of plant. We've got a brown chair, a brown desk, neutral walls. Okay, well, that's interesting to note. Check out which colors these surfboards are. Those were in the color scheme, the earth tones family, right? And as I'm coming back through, I'm noticing there's a lot of arches. So whether it's a doorway that's arched or a mirror that's arched, that's going to be a key component. A lot of natural wood. So we've got wood shelves, wood beams, wood shelves again here. Maybe I tie the wood into their desk or right into the wall. And this brown leather chair thing seems to be a trend, right? So I'm going to suggest a brown leather chair. And you guys can see how the brand becomes the personal style, becomes the office style, right? We're going to be talking more on the channel about, website styles and social media styles. But I think if you can hone your basic brand and then your basic living space, like it would be so easy to get a piece of wood like this and a cactus for someone's office and really make that feel cohesive. Your content starts to be cohesive automatically because where are you filming content? Your office, right? Where are you sitting to work? Your office. And so creating a space that feels really on brand, even using wallpaper, right? Like this one to add some of the textures, these style of lamps. I know World Market has those, and I would be pulling the pieces for their wardrobe, their office space, and their brand all together, thinking about all three. And then that naturally, here's those lamps again, that naturally would feed itself into what does the funnel look like? What do the emails look like? What does the social media content look like? What do the offers look like? Maybe it's called the Digital Nomad Guide versus the Work From Anywhere Guide. Why? Digital nomads love Tulum, right? So it's, again, like pulling these things together. Let's go a little bit wider and say Mexico interior design, right? So we're not just talking about Tulum. Let's see if anything pops here. We're getting a little bit like, oh, right, this is kind of Southwest feeling.
Well, some of these patterns could literally be in the brand. So this is how I start to uncover the client's style. As we start to go through all types of images, we look at where they shop, we look at what they buy, what brands they respect, and we start to integrate it all together. So I hope that this was helpful for you as we started to look at different types of fonts, different types of colors, different types of design. And I hope that you can go ahead and make a mood board or a Pinterest board with your favorite things and begin to pull the themes out. If you want support with this, come hop in for a brand kit. We are booking for May right now. The brand kits include the logo, the supporting graphics, the font, the colors. And then if you would like to continue on for office style or personal style, we can also support you with that. But I'm super excited. So I'll see you guys next week.
Well, I hope today's video was helpful for you. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube things, and we'll be back next Tuesday for another video. I hope that you're walking away from this video with clarity and a sense of direction about where your brand might be headed. I also wanted to let you know that over on the Maximum Potency Podcast, which is my show, by the way, we are doing a brand alchemy series. Episode 2 of 5 drops this Thursday, and we have a juicy freebie that goes along with that series called the Brand Alchemy Workbook. Everything is linked up below. Go check it out. If you are enjoying this type of work and you're wanting to go deeper on the brand that you're building, this series is all you. I'll see you guys next week.